This is a comment on my Mutual Liliths video, and I'm sorry to pinch it, but I want to use it as a launching off point to talk about Marjorie Taylor Green and her amendment to no longer fund the Iron Dome in Israel that failed 421-6. And how absolutely unhinged it is that people on the left who care about Palestinian liberation, care about ending the genocide in Gaza, are making comments like, oh, Marjorie Taylor Green on the right side of history, oh, Marjorie Taylor Green is making Democrats look bad. Hearing that from fellow people on the left, it really concerns me. And it's not just Marjorie Taylor Green. Tucker Carlson has been making similar statements, along with the release the Epstein file stuff. He's also been making statements about no longer sending funds to Israel. And it's one thing to say, wow, stopped clock is right twice a day. It's another thing entirely to say, oh, these guys have more morals and ethics than the Democrats. First of all, I think we should have all our dark money out of politics. I think that AIPAC has no business. There should be no foreign interest. There should be no corporate interest. There should be no special interest that is influencing our democracy. Fuck SCOTUS for Citizens United that has absolutely empowered the oligarchy and the fascists to come to power. It has absolutely eroded our democracy. Now, as much as I long for the day when we have campaign finance reform and dark money is out of our politics, and this is a nation that has a representative democracy where we, the people, it's our vote that counts, where corporations are no longer viewed as people, but people are viewed as people instead of being dehumanized and sent into concentration camps by our government. We cannot accomplish that goal until we reinstitute a somewhat stable government, which also is my whole point about Palestine. We cannot help the Palestinian people as long as the fascists are in power. It doesn't matter how much you scream at AOC. The fascists will continue to fund arms to Israel. They will continue to fund the genocide. The only way to get from here, where we are now, to a place where we stop the genocide is we have to go through this big fat fucking wall of fascism, and we have to erode it, topple it, and then get to a place where we have a stable government and we are actually capable of helping all of the people around the world and within our own borders that this regime is intent on genociding, on committing a holocaust against, on committing ethnic cleansings against. We can't get to all of these things that we want to do to create a better society, to enact justice and protect vulnerable people until we first topple fascism. I really get mad. I get frustrated, so frustrated that people can't see that reality. You can scream at the Democrats all fucking day long. It's the Republicans who are in charge of funding all of this. And I know historically that there are lots of Democrats that are right in the pocket of AIPAC. I understand that. They're also right in the pocket of big corporations. But we can't address that until we stop fascism. And we now are in a place where we have an authoritarian regime that is free to use our taxpayer money to fund holocausts, ethnic cleansings, genocides all over the world with basically no repercussions whatsoever. I promise you, I know I'm a little stream of consciousness here, and I'm going to get back to Marjorie Taylor Green and why her position on Israel, her amendment, is far more horrific than you think. But I just want to keep reminding folks every day that Elon Musk and Donald Trump gutting USAID is killing 14 million people, mostly children. The world's most vulnerable people are being murdered because we decided, Elon Musk and Donald Trump and all of MAGA decided that that money should be funneled into the pockets of billionaires where they can just take it and slap it on their big pile. It doesn't circulate in the economy. It doesn't help vulnerable people. It just gets slapped on their pile, and 14 million people are dying as a result. It is a Holocaust, and we could stop it at any time. So I don't want to hear from anybody else on the left that both parties are exactly the same, and things would be the same under Kamala Harris as they are under Trump, and there's functionally no difference between the parties. That is the most bullshit, obviously, transparently false claim you could possibly make. 14 million lives stand in testament to how false that assertion is. Okay, now that I'm off my high horse for a second, back to Marjorie Taylor Green. When I hear from people on the left, oh my gosh, she's making Democrats look bad. Oh my gosh, we should all get behind her and support her for this amendment. She doesn't care about Palestinians. She doesn't care about Jewish people. She's openly anti-Semitic. But I think it's hard for some people on the left who don't know Christian nationalists and don't have an evangelical background to understand why she has this position. She is inherently isolationist. The two Republicans that voted for this amendment, her and Massey, don't want any foreign aid going to any country because they are isolationists, they are nationalists, they want all our money kept here. I'd like to draw your attention to an article from CNN back in 2022, where Marjorie Taylor Green is quoted as having said, "We need to be the party of nationalism, and I'm a Christian, and I say it proudly. We should be Christian nationalists." I think a lot of us ex-evangelicals have been sounding the alarm about Christian nationalism for a really long time. Back in 2022, I know it seems like a gajillion years ago, even though it was less than 3, it was an entirely different world back then. It was not as popular at that time. It was not as socially acceptable for Christian nationalists to self-declare that they are Christian nationalists. They often would say they're Jesus followers. They'd often say they're evangelicals, Bible-believing Christians. But we saw it back in 2022, more and more conservatives, especially conservative elected officials, who felt emboldened to use that term Christian nationalism. Back then, Lauren Boebert said the church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church. I know that she's not the sharpest tack in the box and she doesn't understand the separation of church and state, but she doesn't want a separation of church and state. She wants a theocracy. I think if you're not familiar with these folks, and I know on some level we are all familiar with Marjorie Taylor Green, how back in 2018, she said it was Jewish space lasers that were responsible for California wildfires. We know that she was a diehard QAnoner. It's interesting to me how much QAnon has just and they've transitioned to the cult of MAGA. They've let that cult evolve over time. But despite that familiarity, I think a lot of people are not aware of the kind of extreme apocalyptic thinking of Marjorie Taylor Green. I appreciated this comment. Marjorie Taylor Green is extremely anti-Semitic. She put up legislation to stop funding the Iron Dome because she's an accelerationist. She's an accelerationist, but not in the same way like authoritarian leftists, tankies, are in the United States, where they hoped that Donald Trump getting elected would result in the fall of the empire so that they could sweep in and institute their authoritarian communist state. Not that kind of an accelerationist. Marjorie Taylor Green is hoping to accelerate the biblical prophecy to bring about the end times. Her thinking is entirely eschatological. She wants the end times to come so that the second coming of Jesus can be brought about, right? That is her focus. And of course, she doesn't give a shit about Israel. That prophecy, that belief among Christian nationalists is that all Jews will convert to Christianity and those who don't will be thrown into the lake of fire. She is trying to escalate conflict in the Middle East so that it will bring about her end times prophecy, so that it will bring about the apocalypse and therefore trigger the second coming of Jesus. She does not care about Palestinians. And so I understand why so many Democrats, including Democrats who have been vigorously opposed to AIPAC, did not want to partner with an out-Nazi white Christian nationalist for this amendment. It wasn't in good faith. It wasn't at all about protecting Palestinians. It wasn't doing anything other than trying to further her white Christian nationalist agenda. These folks are obsessed with the apocalypse. It's part of the reason that they don't care about climate change. They don't care about other people suffering and dying. They are fixated on the end of the world and the second coming of Christ. They want a theocratic Christian nationalist state until that point in time. Partially because they think if they can control the government, they can accelerate the second coming. Marjorie Taylor Green was not showing up Democrats, y'all. She knew that this amendment was going to fail. She was using it to gain favoritism with her base. And I think also, maybe I'm giving her more credit than she's due, but also to trigger folks on the left to attack progressive Democrats who were not gonna partner with her because they're not gonna fucking partner with a Nazi. I just want to reiterate here at the end, if you, like me, care about ending the genocide in Gaza, if you, like me, are up at night horrified at little children starving to death, at parents being shot as they are trying to get food aid for their children, if you want that horror to end, if you want to save lives, think about effective strategies to try to get us to a place where we can actually help those folks. It's not about venting our feelings. It's not about trying to enact some fantasy that will never come to pass. We need real plans that we can execute that will actually get the job done of helping Palestinians. And the way we get from where we are now to a place where we can actually help Palestinians, we have to go through this wall of authoritarianism and topple it first.